Hey Eric, how you doing tonight?
Ugh, I'm glad we had video so you could see that I was yawning and not ignoring you.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Well, none of
it's
that.
Wednesday night.
It's Wednesday night, podcast night.
It is.
Ah, I'm ready for spring. Is it spring yet?
It pretended to be spring for a little bit today.
It
The sun
did.
was out. It wasn't particularly warm, but it was less cold than it has been lately.
Well, yeah. That's that's. There's a lot of room for being less cold than it has been lately. I was talking
Yeah.
with somebody from Texas this week, and I think it was like 75 or 80 there. So, last week they're in the teens.
Yeah.
Everything's frozen, no power, like having a hard time. And now that's like, I don't know, 70, 80 degrees. Insane. Uh, no, I'm just getting antsy for spring. You get to plant stuff and starts for the garden and all that kind of stuff, and it's always kind of an exciting time of the year. And I always get a little ahead of myself. At least I mostly get a little ahead of myself and try and get stuff started way before it should be. And so I'm waiting till the 1st of March.
When do your bees start getting out and about?
I walked by this past week. Well, I did a couple things with them this past week. But at one point I walked by when it was pretty cold out. It was like, maybe, I think it was still in the 30s, maybe a little before. And one of the hives was going nuts out front. So I enough that I was like, oh gosh, I hope that hive is still alive, because that's kind of weird what they're doing. But, it was sunny. It was cold, but it was sunny. And so I sat there for a minute and kind of watched, and they looked like they were just like, it didn't look like another hive was fighting or anything. It looked like they were just like, hey, weather's okay. Can we go find any pollen or something? And I saw a bunch of bees flying back in. They didn't seem to have any pollen. I think they're just confused. It's not time yet. Give it another few weeks. But then that caused me this past weekend to go out. It was over 50 degrees at some point, and I actually cracked the top on all 5 of my remaining hives just to see, or colonies, I should say, just to see. And 3 of them are doing super good. One of them is okay, and then the other one, there were a few bees in there, so I'm gonna say stay alive, but I'm not gonna hold out too much hope for that one. They've all got food, so if they can hold on for another if they can hold on for another month, they'll probably start getting the early pollen from the cherry trees, and maples, I think, are the first to bloom around here.
Got it.
So
Okay.
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I related to that though. Sorry, it got me talking bees. I had the bee group I'm a member of meets on the last Tuesday of every month, which was last night. So I joined, and we had one of the people from the Washington State Department of Agriculture as a guest speaker, who talked all about the Asian giant hornets. She said not to call them murder hornets. That was not appropriate. Like, you realize that's why everybody likes to call them murder hornets. But that was a cool. That was a cool talk.
Did she have a reason why that was not appropriate, or just please let's
That's
not
what they're
continue.
known as. That's
Okay.
That's not the way it's supposed to be.
So tell me about
that's not their name.
Very large hornets of ill repute.
Yeah. Well, so her thing was about what Washington State is doing to try to control, limit, and contain the spread of them. Because, one uncontained nest can, create tons more, and,
right.
It'll just cascade. They did do genetic testing and most of the ones that they found were from a single source. She said, I think she said they found 30 something total last year. Like there were 30 some captures of wasps or hornets in their traps, because they trap. When they found one, they kind of put, essentially said, okay, this is where we found it. Did like a 8-mile circle and then set out traps in that, gridded in that area, and trapped them alive so that they could, that we talked about that. Trapped them alive so they could put on a tracker and then trace them back to where the nest was. And she had pictures of the nest removal and of the nest after, after they had taken it apart, and had numbers like how many they found, like 67. See, this is where I should have the number in front of me. I think she said they found 67 immature queens in the nest. So had they not captured that particular nest, there could have been up to 67 more nests the next spring, this spring.
Oh.
So, that's
yikes.
It's a big, that's a big spread. And so one of the other things, sorry, this is all Hornet talk. Welcome to Hornet talk. She had a map of the United States for where it would, ecologically be most advantageous for it to live. And it's basically the strip on the West Coast, and like all of like the South, East. So like, Tennessee, Kentucky, Carolinas, that would be its, temperature zone. And so if it manages to migrate over there, that will be very bad for local honeybee populations, that's for sure. So anyway, lots of pictures. That was fun. I don't know how you got me started on talking that, but I didn't mean to talk bees for 5 minutes. Sorry everyone. Sorry future John, who has to figure out how to edit that.
That's all good.
How was your weekend?
They continue to all just blend together.
One indistinguishable weekend after another.
Yeah, I finished my plans for my underdeck coverage.
Oh.
And I haven't purchased all the stuff yet, but I've measured out and have a shopping list of all the things that I need now.
And what did you decide to use?
The stuff that you said to use that I didn't want to use. The corrugated fiberglass panels.
Oh, okay. The wavy stuff.
Yeah, the wavy stuff. Okay. Everything I read said that's the thing. The one thing I do have to do for me personally, for just to make it aesthetically pleasing, is add a fascia on the sides of the deck to hide because at the one end you'll start to see a gap.
Sure.
And it'll be a 3-inch triangle that starts from 0 to 3 inches by the time it gets to the end of the deck. And so I want to put a fascia over the side to hide that.
Yeah. There's
basically a piece of wood that you affix everything to that goes along the underside of the deck, because the deck is it goes perpendicular to the direction of the
joist,
the underside of the deck, underside of the deck. And so you affix the screws to the top of that. So the wave will always have a thing that goes underneath that piece of wood that you affix it to, because it's the top of the wave that you screw into the piece of the wood.
Oh, okay, I get it. So you're the wood that you're screwing it into is not the stuff that is shaped like the waves. It's just a flat 2x4 or something.
It's just a flat, it'll be a flat piece of wood that'll be a 1/4 inch at the top, and then it grows by 1/8 of an inch per foot as it goes down to the other end. Okay. And so I can do that at 4 foot increments. So I'll run basically 3 of those things that span, and that's where I'll screw into, just at the top of the wave, so that there'll always be, it won't be the wavy thing you affix it to. So, fingers crossed.
All right.
I have all my stuff figured out.
You got it all figured out. That's going to be really cool. You'll have to send me a picture once you get it up.
So, I suppose one of the things that I could say I did this weekend, or that I happened this weekend, is I got a Kickstarter project in the mail.
Oh.
I had backed a Kickstarter project in December of 2018.
Oh my gosh.
And it finally arrived this week, over the weekend.
Oh,
so it was a, almost 3 years ago, I was kind of getting into lockpicking. And I thought, at least conceptually, that was the idea. And there was this Kickstarter project for a Swiss Army knife of lockpicks. And I thought, that sounds fun. And it was $30. I was like one of the early backers. I thought, yeah, sure, I'll get that. Production delays, redos, this happened, that happened. Anyways, doesn't really matter.
Wow.
It finally showed up today, or this week it showed up.
Wow.
So I've been practicing on my little toy lock. I have a little practice lock that's see-through. I'll show you. It's kind of see-through, so you can see the things, and practicing with different blades. While I've been on calls today, that's what I've been doing with my hands to keep them busy.
That's pretty cool.
So I'm excited to get. It's pretty stiff, and so I need to get it worked in. I don't know if it just needs some WD-40 or if I just need to loosen some screws a little bit.
The lock or the swick?
The swick.
Okay.
I will show you, because that'll be good podcast material, and getting the blades, it's kind of like a switchblade or a pocket knife, but
yeah,
it's almost impossible to get them out.
Don't cut yourself on them.
They're not sharp particularly, but they're thin and they're very difficult to. Anyways,
that's funny. Well, that's cool. 2018. So 2 years and 2 months later.
Yeah, the original delivery date was projected delivery date February 2019. So it's technically 2 years.
You got to love the optimism of humanity. That's
Well, and I have never backed. I've backed, I think, 6 Kickstarter projects in my history. So I'm not big at it, and I have never. If I back a project, I assume I might not get it.
Yeah,
just
it's a good assumption.
But so I always feel bad for the people who are trying something new, and then they get all these nasty emails and messages on the message board saying, "You're a horrible person. You said this was," and he's like, "Production delays. My supplier, this came and it didn't work. We thought it would work."
Yeah.
So that was something I got this weekend, and I've been playing around with it. I need to loosen it up a little bit and start to get a little more used to it. But the odd thing is I thought lockpicking would be fun 3 years ago. I haven't thought about it a lot since. So I was like, do I really want to figure out how to do it? Anyways, so I have the stuff, and now we'll see. Maybe.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. All right.
Anything else exciting?
No, let's get into follow-up. Depending on how much I cut out of that, that will be either a very long intro or a very short intro. Sorry, people. Tell me about the Nursery Cam.
Yeah, so the Nursery Cam we talked about last week, it's now hit the news, and the firm has notified the correct authorities in the UK about the what they're referring to as a loophole in their systems.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. That was inappropriate, John.
But I do appreciate that the Nursery Cam director said in a statement The person who identified the loophole has so far acted responsibly. This is the security researcher we talked about who published the information last week. He stated he has no intention to use this or do any harm and wants to see Nursery Cam raise its overall standards of our security measures, etc. So, good for them. They have taken everything offline now, and they are addressing the issues, and of course are apologizing to parents that maybe something may or may not have happened. They don't know.
Oh, I feel like, this is one of those situations. Well, there's situations happen all the time, but those people in the security industry have look at these sorts of situations. Say, how could you not think of all the things that would go wrong and that people would do? But I'm sure that, for a completely unsecurity aware founder, they don't really care about security. They just want to, whatever the feature is that they're trying to do.
Right.
So it's, I think it's incumbent on us, it's incumbent on the entire industry to try to set things up so that they can be secure by default, and that it's an unachievable goal, I think. But yeah. But anyway. So speaking of, well, I guess yours made a bad thing a little bit better. My follow-up is a bad thing going a little bit worse.
Oh.
In the sense, so this is a follow-up to my story last week of the Jamaican travel
COVID
data
site.
Exposure. Yeah, the COVID site.
Yeah.
Jam COVID. So a security researcher told TechCrunch on Sunday that the Amber Group left a file on the Jam COVID website by mistake. So this is not on the OpenS3 bucket where all the data was, but on the website itself, they left a file that has, quote, contains passwords that would have granted access to the backend systems, storage, and databases running the Jam COVID site and app. The researcher asked not to be named for fear of legal repercussions from the Jamaican government. The exposed file contained secret credentials for the Amazon Web Services databases and storage servers, usernames and passwords to SMS gateway used by Jam COVID to send text messages, and credentials for its email sending server. So basically there was an environment file. There's a picture on the site that will be linked here. Right. But there's on the website itself, presumably not linked anybody anywhere, but somebody decided to say, hey, are you serving up this file? Something along the line. Does it say what the file name was? They said it was a .env file, but I don't think they actually gave the full file name on here. So, the other thing I saw, as follow up on this, but I don't have an article, was that the Jamaican government is treating this as they were pursuing potential criminal charges, but it wasn't clear against who. Against the provider? Because it didn't seem to be that. It seemed to be, at least the implications was, against the journalists. So let's maybe not go that way. Anyway, so I'll put the link in here for the TechCrunch article that has the additional info.
All right. Well, I guess similarly, somewhat in the same vein.
You're right. Look at this. This is like a government topic night, because yours is a government, mine's a government.
A contractor who works on software for the California Department of Motor Vehicles was hit by a file stealing ransomware, and that ransomware basically stole files, encrypted the files, did the thing ransomware does, and took the registration records for the last, it looks like a couple years roughly, that contained names, addresses, license plate numbers, and vehicle identification numbers, but none of the other data like social security numbers, dates of birth, voter registration, or other things that the DMV keeps. It was the contractor is a group that processes payments, invoices, and verifies addresses for not just the California DMV, but a bunch of municipalities. And apparently they have also been included in this. And the ransomware group basically has started out, I suppose, as we're going to encrypt your files and give us Bitcoin, and we'll give you the decryption key. But as many companies have gotten smart and started to do better at backups, the ransomware groups have adjusted tactics, and now they've started to steal that data and not only encrypt it, but then threaten to put the stolen files online somewhere unless the ransom is paid.
So, right.
Which in this instance, I thought seemed a little, I'm not sure what the right word is, but there's a note in here that last year the California DMV reported making $50 million a year by selling drivers' personal information to private investigators, bondsmen, or other interested party. I think over the last 3 years, we've occasionally talked about who sells your data, what government agencies can sell your data for what reasons. And so your data is already out there. At least probably this part already is. So,
but this is, so the original compromise though is anyone who interacted with the DMV in the last 20 months.
It was anyone,
California DMV.
Yeah, anyone who interacted with the contracted service that provide like payment processing, invoices, or if you had to do address verification.
I see. Well, so, if Oregon had the same thing, I would definitely be impacted, because I have definitely, got a number of things that, in Oregon, every other year, every 2 years, I think it's every 2 years, you have to go to the DEQ and get a DEQ test.
Right.
But the other years, the intervening years, you just go online, pay your, I don't know, $97, whatever it is, I forget, and there you go. But that's totally with a credit card processor on, the Oregon DMV site.
Yeah. And I think that this contractor is a company out of Seattle, the Seattle area, and they're not very big. There's a few dozen employees. I looked it up. There's a few dozen employees, and that's pretty much all they do. But they do it for municipalities and things like the California DMV. That's kind of their niche, and they do it all across the U.S. So since their systems were the ones compromised, it's not just about California DMV. It'll be about, I saw another note somewhere else that the city of Kirkland, Washington also uses this provider. So if you live in Kirkland and had to interface with government services for a certain set of scenarios, your data may have been stolen as well. So more to come, I'm sure.
I would guess so. All right. Well, I think I forget. Did I bring two? Yeah, I did bring two topics. So my first topic is another Pacific Northwest topic. So this is we're talking West Coast, and we're talking government tonight.
The best coast.
Best coast is the West Coast. You bet. So this is actually an older article from a couple weeks ago. But it was a Washington state breach of unemployment records. So, and this is on, again, a third-party appliance called Excellion. But it was a data breach of a Washington state auditor's system exposed 1.4 million unemployment claimants records. Excellion, it was a flaw in Excellion's file transfer product called File Transfer Appliance, and the state auditor says the office was never notified of the vulnerability and that a fix was available. Okay, I can neither confirm nor deny that. But it says that the breach occurred in December, and that the hackers took advantage of the vulnerability to access files that included the personally identifiable information of Washington state residents who filed unemployment insurance claims last year. I don't know if you're aware, but there were a lot of unemployment claims last year.
Yeah.
For some reason, I seem to remember. So it includes name, social security, driver's license, state identification numbers, bank accounts, bank routing numbers.
Oh, yikes.
Places of employment. So, yeah, 1.4 million. Let me just say that again. 1.4 million people in Washington state. And so the quote from the company is that, I love this, Excellion file transfer appliance, a 20-year-old product nearing end of life, was the target of a sophisticated cyber attack. All FTA customers were promptly notified of the attack on December 23rd, 2020. At this time, Excellion has patched all known FTA vulnerabilities exploited by the attackers and has added new monitoring and alerting capabilities to flag anomalies associated with these attack vectors. It doesn't actually say in this what the attack vector was. But there was another quote in this article, the Bank Info Security article, that said, while Excellion described the vulnerability in the file transfer appliance as a P0 flaw, other cybersecurity experts and government agencies, such as the Australian Cybersecurity Centre, describe the bug as more of a SQL injection. So
P0 flaw.
I don't know. High priority? I don't know. P0? I don't know. Sorry. But the kicker for me, did you notice that I said it was actually a breach of the state auditor's system?
Yeah.
Not of Health and Human Services or the administrators of the unemployment system. It's the auditor, because they were doing an investigation as to how state unemployment security department lost $600 million in fraudulent unemployment claims in 2020.
Oh no.
So they have a vulnerability. People exploit it to claim money that was not owed them. They're doing research and investigation of the situation, collect all the data, and then have that data that they're collecting was stolen, basically. So this was a bit of a pile on, I would say.
Yeah.
But that,
yeah, all right.
not a nice situation. Okay, but that was that one. So that was actually a couple of weeks ago. I don't know why or how I came across my feed just this week, but I hadn't read about it before. All right, my second story isn't really a story. It is just a link to the newly released Apple Platform Security Guide. And now I lie, because I'm actually going to link to the Wired. There's a Wired article here, and that's probably the thing that I'll put in the notes here. But that has an easy link to the actual style guide, or not style guide, the security guide. So, I have not read all the way through this one. It was kind of, it's on my list of stuff to do, but I have read most of some older ones. They're long. I think that said in here that, this is the 2021 is now over 200 pages, but they're pretty approachable, pretty legible, and a great source of just general information. There was a quote in the Wired article that says that the company tries to balance readability with usefulness. Is it easy to understand the gist, or but lacking technical detail, or is it too technical for the average reader to understand and know what's going on? Right. So, and my experience is that it's mostly too high level, but it's still super, super useful and even, useful for somebody in the security industry. I kind of two points about this. It does have a section on the M1 chips. which is cool. And the quote in the Wired article says it's the most comprehensive and technical look at Apple's safeguards yet, including first documentation of Apple's new M1 chips. And then the other area that I did read through was the protecting against malware section, which is not terribly long, but this is just a short thing. I feel like
I hadn't seen this yet, so I do like going through this every year or whenever they come up with a new one. So it'd be interesting to see what's different. It because like you say, it is a little high level at some points, but it's kind of fun to see this is how we do Face ID, this is how we do Touch ID, and this is kind of why we're going. Here's our reasoning for why it's secure,
right? And it details or others have like where there's hardware based systems that assist. So like the hardware cutoff, for example, of the camera. So when it is quote unquote impossible for the camera to be on without the green light being on, for example, and or that there's physical disconnect for the camera when the lid's closed. That kind of thing is cool.
All right.
So I read through the security thing again, and I was like, okay, I think I knew most of this. I don't think I realized that XProtect used Yara rules or Yara.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yara rules. Had that been called out before? I mean, it's been a couple of years since I read this. But.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't recall seeing that before. But it still doesn't appear to be updatable by anybody except Apple.
Yeah. No.
So it's not a pluggable system.
Yeah, not to my knowledge, at least.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. If you are interested in security, which you must be mostly if you're listening to this podcast, then
or if you're
you should go.
In bees.
Or if you're interested, yeah, that's true. Sorry, everyone. It is what it is. All right, how about something fun tonight? What'd you bring me?
All right, so my initial something fun, I couldn't wait till Wednesday night, and I think I tweeted something at you, and you were too smart for me. You caught on. It was funny. Microsoft had tweeted something about testing the new 4K drivers or something like that, and it was a brand new, fully AI
upscaled,
reprocessed. Never going to give you up Rick Astley video, right? So perfect Rick roll video, but I didn't fool you. So that wasn't my something fun. The something fun is, so last week we had the NASA Mars Perseverance rover had not happened yet.
Not quite.
But we were able to see it. I'm sure you watched the video
I totally
multiple
did.
Times like I did.
It was awesome.
And so my something fun is that as well. Read up. If you haven't gone and watched those videos, go. It won't be hard to find them. It was really cool.
Oh, the higher resolution crane landing one was awesome.
Yes, it was yeah. We're now in 1080p on Mars, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't real time. They didn't have they don't have the bandwidth. They have to transfer it back, and then but they could tell. You were watching it land real time from the control room.
Right.
And, they basically have telemetry back going, okay, yeah, it's at X feet above. Oh, look at, the speed is this. It's going, it's landing. And then they got the first low res pictures back. It was great.
Yeah. So the fun part was, and I love it when these things kind of happen, is if you were watching that video, the parachute shoots out and you can see the video of the parachute and, from the perspective of the rover looking up relatively up at the parachute, and the parachute is white and red with these red lines around it, and it looks like a pattern. Well, apparently it was an actual pattern with a hidden message in it, and NASA tweeted out hinted that, hey, let's see, what did they actually say? So they hinted at it. They said, in addition to enabling incredible science, we hope our efforts in our engineering can inspire others. Sometimes we leave messages in our work for others to find for that purpose, so we invite you all to give it a shot and show your work. And of course, 6 hours later, the internet had figured out what the hidden message was. And it was a message in the parachute, the red and white alternating kind of lines of the parachute spelled out the phrase "Dare Mighty Things," which is a popular slogan of the Perseverance team at NASA there. So I thought that was really cool, that encoded in the parachute. And if you look at the original tweet, so the article will link has the 2 tweets, the person who solved it, who figured it out, and the official answer with a kind of a doodle, a drawing of here's where it all sits. And it also, not only it includes Dare Mighty Things, but also included the GPS coordinates.
Yeah.
The latitude and longitude of where the NASA JPL offices are. So very cool.
So
very cool.
I guess I didn't see this entire. Is that just binary? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. So if you look at the original tweet,
so there's 7.
Yeah.
There's 7 values in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
Right. So
7.
it's binary code, but it's alpha, like A is 1, B is 2, D is 3. Right. It's not. It's not ASCII.
It's not ASCII.
No. It's,
okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right.
Okay. So A, B, C, D, E is
5.
B, C, D, E, 5. So that is okay. So if I look at the E on there, it is 1 and 4 is 5. Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyways, that was something fun. We landed on Mars, and the video and audio were super cool.
That is awesome.
So,
yeah, that was super cool. That was super cool. You know what? Sorry, something else that was in that article I didn't realize was that on Curiosity in 2012, they had. Didn't it say something in here? They had Morse code on the
tiny holes in the wheels.
Yeah. So here's the quote: "The Curiosity rover, which arrived at the red planet in 2012, has tiny holes in its wheels that read JPL in Morse code. So when Curiosity traveled across Mars' surface, it stamped JPL in the soil wherever it went." That's awesome. Erased shortly after by harsh Martian winds, but
yeah,
there is an ephemeral marker in time that JPL was here. Anyway, I thought that was super cool. I
think that's fun.
Awesome. Okay. I have 2 something funs. Sorry.
All right.
Not so sorry. Sorry, not sorry. So the first one is that now that we have, I'm going to say this is now that we have a new administration, the net neutrality law to take effect in California, because the judge, so the Justice Department dropped their lawsuit against California for initiating a net neutrality law after the FCC claimed that it couldn't do net neutrality in 2018.
Right.
So, so as soon as the federal government dropped it, California passes a law, then the Justice Department sues California saying you can't do that. And then so here's the thing that I loved about this. The judge found that the law is on a solid legal foundation. The ISPs trying to overturn it are not likely to prevail. So basically all the telecom,
right.
AT&T, Comcast, Verizon, and other telecom companies acted through major lobbying groups, filed a lawsuit of their own, blah, blah, blah. So they're unlikely to prevail. And then here's the quote that I thought was crazy. The two things, I guess, that I thought was crazy. So the judge found, as I've long argued, that an agency that says it has no power to regulate has no power to tell others they can't regulate. So the FCC, in finding that, it doesn't have the power, which is, it was, what was it, Ajit Pai? Anyway, I forget his name.
Yeah.
You can't say, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have the rights to do that, but we do have the rights to stop you from doing that, basically. And so then this is the coup de grace, or the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae. So now that it's going to proceed, the telecoms say, and I quote, "A state-by-state approach to internet regulation will confuse customers and deter innovation. Just as the importance of broadband for all has never been more apparent, we agree with the court that a piecemeal approach is untenable and that Congress should codify rules for an open internet." So
read that as, we failed at our lobbying for the state. Let's see if we can succeed for the US as a whole.
Thank you for putting the most pessimistic and probably realistic spin on that. Accurate. Your accuracy is unwanted. I'm sorry. All right, but anyway, I will be happy to see that go forward, and I feel like California has led the nation in many things. Cough, cough, air quality, standards, and it's a big enough market that it can wag the dog. Okay, but that was mostly just a yay net neutrality, please thing. So my other fun thing, and what was really my real fun thing, I guess, is an ancient relic reveals Earth's history. So for the first time ever, I'm reading a quote, we have been able to precisely date the timing and environmental impacts of the last magnetic pole switch. So the magnetic pole will occasionally flip from north to south or south to north.
Right.
I should maybe not have made that a presumptive assumption, but that will happen. So what they did is there's these, it says ancient New Zealand kauri trees, which have been preserved in sediments for over 40,000 years. And they've been so well preserved that they can basically carbon date them and use the rings of the tree growth to have a very accurate measure of when this happened. You're reading the article, I can tell.
I am totally reading the article now. Sorry.
So it's okay. It's okay. It's cool. It's cool. So a couple things. The researchers dubbed this danger period the Adams Transitional Geomagnetic Event, or Adams Event.
I was reading that as you were talking. I was like,
okay.
See,
that's my punchline. Dang it. The way I was going to do this, you're ruining my delivery. I'm fine.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
Sorry.
But
it's
cut this Adams. Start again. I'll just say it. I'll just say it because it's the Adams event for Douglas Adams, because it's 42,000 years ago. And 42 is the answer. So,
yes.
Anyway, so this is cool.
This is
so
great.
It talks about, and this explains, it could potentially explain why there was a simultaneous megafauna extinction event across both Australia and Tasmania, which was weird because they said it was long after the Aboriginal people arrived, but around the same time that the Australian environment shifted to the current arid state, and that it could also explain things like the extinction of the Neanderthals and the, quote, sudden widespread appearance of figurative art in caves around the world. And they're basically saying because it would have been such a traumatic and crazy event that early humans would have potentially had to kind of move into caves for safety and security. In the sense that they said the Earth's magnetic field dropped to only 0 to 6% of its strength during this time period. meaning that there was essentially no protection against the solar wind at all. There would have been huge, dramatic light, auroras, spectacular light shows, cosmic radiation, no cosmic radiation shield, pretty catastrophic causing time and event. And so, this was kind of cool.
Yeah.
This is my something fun. Read the whole article.
Yeah. Now I need to go because now I'm curious. So what exactly is the result of this happening? You read the line down here that says this speed alongside the weakening of Earth's magnetic field by around 9% in the past 170 years could indicate an upcoming reversal.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. What would that mean?
If you didn't know, the North Pole is currently pretty active. And if it flipped on us at the moment, it would be not awesome for all of our electronic gadgets and gizmos.
No more internet, no more podcasts.
Well, we should treat them. Okay, here's an analogy from last week for you. So Texas had claimed, problems with things like windmills and had lots of problems with their, power. What am I saying? Natural gas fired plants, power plants, that kind of stuff. But the thing is that's not because you can't have windmills and natural gas plants that work in cold weather. You just have to weatherize them. There are windmills in Greenland and in Antarctica. I guarantee you windmills can operate in cold climates.
Right.
And the same thing, shielding might be important, but we'll see.
I'm gonna start lining my hats with tinfoil.
I'm gonna go with there's not a high probability of it happening in our lifetimes. So There you go. Now I just doomed us. But
Mostly Security Podcast blamed for magnetic reversal event.
There you go.
Well, now I do have to read that. Now, beyond this article, now I am curious as to what a magnetic pole reversal would mean. Maybe I'll sick my boy on that. He's kind of fascinated by that kind of stuff. I'm going to say, hey, buddy, go research this. And then give me a report. Tell me what that is.
That sounds like right up his alley.
Yeah. All righty, dude. It's late.
Well, there you go. It is late. I'm not sure this was a mostly security. This was maybe a mostly intro and a mostly fun episode. So, oh well, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Have a good week. Talk to you later.
See you, John.
Bye.